Game 2 in their semifinals matchup, the 76ers turned the ball over 19 times in Game 1, leading to 28 points for the Hawks. Philly averaged under 9 turnovers in Game 2, taking 2 of the 3 regular season meetings against Atlanta. Joel Embiid scored 39 points despite his knee issues, but the MVP finalist shot just 5 for 12 outside the paint in Game 1 per Spectrum. He was 7 for 9 when shooting from inside. And speaking of shooting, Ben Simmons just 3 for 10 on free throws in Game 1 among qualified shooters. His 34% rate at the line this postseason is the worst mark through 6 games since Shaq in 2004. The offense may have been an issue, but 76ers need to find a way to stop Trae.
Been knowing him a lot, Lauren. We like Ben on Trae. We don't like him on him all game. Trae does a great job of drawing fouls.
All right, Stephen A., who needs to step up for the Sixers to even the series?
I'm going to say Tobias Harris. Here's the reason why. Because he had 20 points. I believe it was like 10 rebounds. I'm just looking at his numbers here. 20 points, 10 rebounds. Hit 8 of 13 shots. He's got to be more aggressive. Here's the reason why. You're not stopping Atlanta from scoring. They have too many shooters. I had Quavo on my show, Stephen A's World, on ESPN Plus yesterday. He was at the game Sunday, chilling with Ruben, the part owner of the 76ers, before showing up to the Mayweather-Logan exhibition match in Miami that day. And you know, Quavo was talking about this as well, because it was like this. Look, you got Trae, you got Collins, you got Lou Williams, you got Herter. These brothers can shoot. And oh, by the way, they also make free throws. The Atlanta Hawks got to the free throw line 14 times less than the Philadelphia 76ers. But the Philadelphia 76ers missed 11 free throws. You're not beating the Atlanta Hawks if you can't score. Now, Doc Rivers is absolutely right. Trae Young is a master at drawing fouls. He's cat quick. He stops in the lane. He's like a quarterback with pocket presence. He knows where his defender is at all times.
Go flying by, yeah.
And you know, he'll stop in front of them, knowing that they're coming up behind him at a particular speed or whatever. Listen, this is what he does. He not only can shoot, he can handle, he can pass, but he's exceptional at drawing fouls. And so as a result, he's going to hit his free throws. They're going to hit their free throws. You can't get Ben Simmons in foul trouble, but you also can't send Ben Simmons to the free throw line. He's not reliable. So Seth Curry has to make shots. Danny Green has to make shots. But Tobias Harris, whose 2 best seasons in the NBA have both been with Doc Rivers as his coach, first with the Clippers years ago and now with the Philadelphia 76ers. This brother can play. He's making $180 million for a reason. Tobias Harris has to be that dude. It's not enough to average 20. Tobias Harris is going to need to average close to 30 in this series, and he's going to need to shoot more than these shots. 13 shots, unacceptable. Tobias Harris needs to be shooting 23 to 25 shots a game. That's how you're going to offset what Atlanta throws at you, because they're going to score.
Yeah, I'm more worried about what the Sixers can do to try to slow up Atlanta. You're right, they're going to score, but you got to try and slow them up. And I understand Doc's point. You don't want to get Simmons in foul trouble early.
Don't turn the ball
As
over.
you mentioned, Trae Young is very good at drawing fouls if you put some, but you're going to have to figure out how to guard Trae Young. And I think in crunch time, when it matters most, Stephen A., even though he can't hit his free throws, it's going to have to be Ben Simmons. It's not like with the game online, it's going to be Thibault or Simmons, right? And can you play them both because of the shooting problems? The real answer to this, and I brought this up yesterday, is actually Doc Rivers. Doc is the guy who's going to have to step up. Throughout the year, Stephen A., he's played this all-bench unit, right? End of the first, beginning of the second quarters. When you play that, now, in the regular season, you can go 11 deep. In the playoffs, you tighten the rotation. You play your best 8 guys, 9 guys. Doc is sticking to his guns. He did it in game 1. First, Danny Green's on Trae Young. No good. You get down early. And then you get buried with your all-bench unit. You can't do that again. And Doc, sometimes the same thing that makes someone great, and Doc is a great coach. He's going to the Hall of Fame as a coach. But sometimes that same thing can be their weakness. Doc believes in what he's doing. But if he's going to be intractable and he's not going to reconsider this 11-deep unit in the playoffs, this exclusively bench unit to close out and begin quarters in the playoffs, they're going to wind up losing this series. I think the answer is Doc.
You couldn't be more wrong. And here's why you couldn't be more wrong. Doc Rivers, you're asking Doc Rivers basically to do what typical coaches do. You got to go with a strong 7. Okay? Bring 2 dudes off the bench, have your starting 5 and go with that. Max, ever since, you would be right if Lloyd Pierce was there. But ever since he was relieved of his duties and Nate McMillan has taken over, they've elevated their pace of play. They've pushed the ball up the floor more, which is why you see these guys for Atlanta getting open shots, and they're more than capable of burying them. So from a philosophical perspective, there is no question that the Atlanta Hawks are a team to be reckoned with because of pace of play, and they speed it up. Well, if they speed it up, you're talking about slowing them down. Well, let me throw this at you, Max Kellerman. Joel Embiid, although he's 26, we all know he's got knee issues, and now he's got a slight meniscus tear in his knee. That's problematic. Tobias Harris is 28. You've got Seth Curry, he's 30. You got Danny Green, he's 33. Excuse me, what are you supposed to do? You can't sit up there and press these dudes, okay, and make sure that you do everything you can to take them out of their style of play by just playing your 5 guys or 2 guys off the bench. You've got to go deep in order to press them, to pressure them.
But you don't have to go 11 deep.
Well, I'm not saying 11 deep, but you might have to go 9,
well, look,
possibly 10.
Let me give you another. I hear what you're saying.
You got to do it, man.
I hear what you're saying.
You got to do it.
They just wasted on a torn meniscus, and Embiid almost went for 41 for 39 points. That's efforts.
Well, they turned over the ball 9 times in the first quarter.
You know what? Since we're talking numbers, I just looked it up. The Sixers bench, because remember he goes with a full bench lineup. In the first half, they were outscored 10-0. Every other throughout the game, Sixers lineup was +6 in the game. So I hear what you're saying. You may have some fatigued dudes, but if you continue to do this with the all-bench lineup, you're going to get buried against this Hawks team that scores very well and efficiently. You're just not going to do it.
Yeah, but what
you're
I'm
not going
saying
to win.
You have to pick your spots where you're willing to amp up that kind of pressure. Because the fact of the matter is, if you don't utilize your depth early, you're going to have to use it late because your dudes are going to be exhausted.
Not all at once. You would play an all-bench lineup, all 5 dudes?
No,
that's what he's doing.
What I'm saying to you is that there comes a point in time where you have to do all of that just to spell for the dudes that you want out there. It's just the way it is. If you Embiid and you missed, how many games did he miss this year? Let me look this up right here for a quick second. Joel Embiid played in 51 games. He missed 21 games this year, okay? Conditioning is an issue because of that knee and how that's hobbled him. Danny Green ain't getting any younger. Seth Curry, he's there and, he's 30 years of age, but obviously he's a youthful kind of player. But still, you just need to utilize your bench against Atlanta because their pace dictates that you have to use.
Then you're going to lose the series. If you keep throwing all 5 out there, you're going to lose the series.
Who's winning tonight?
Listen, I think the Sixers win tonight because if the Sixers do not win tonight, the Sixers are losing the series.
Okay.
They cannot come
Do
back.
or die.
I don't believe they can come back from an 0-2 deficit against these Atlanta Hawks.
Home.
Against these Atlanta Hawks. If you don't win tonight, the Sixers will lose the series.
Who you got, Max?
I think the Sixers are going to win tonight.
Okay.
And I think Doc does make the adjustments. I think he has to.
All right. We'll leave it on that note. Stephen A. Cowboy player says their offense